Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, my number 6 is a game called Alien Spidy. It's out this week. It's brand new. It's out on. I played the Xbox Live Arcade version. It's on PSN and also PC. I'm going to try and do the best I can to describe it because it's totally functional. It totally works. Some people might quite like it, but I can't remember the last time I hated a game this much.
Wow.
The story, there is no story. You're an alien spider. You're a spider that lives in space and he crash lands on some other planet. And at the beginning, the production values are really okay. I mean, like, it looks like a little bit of money's been spent on it. There's this big orchestral score that kind of reminded me of like the kind of thing that might be in a Pixar movie. I was like, okay, this looks like quite a big project. After that, it turned into a game that the whole time I was like, why isn't this on a phone? It's an iOS game that's been bumped up to consoles. It has no business being on iOS. Basically, on consoles, sorry. Basically, it's a platformer and you're a spider and you have to get from the start line to the finish line. You don't get punished for dying, so you die all the time. You can use... Basically, you're just jumping around. It's completely straightforward, but you can fire a web up to a tree and then swing. So there's bits of it where you have to swing between sort of branches and stuff. The controls are so precise. You use both thumbsticks, you move to the left and you fire webs with the right. But the trees that you have to hook onto are tiny, or sometimes you hook onto like butterflies and stuff. It's so small and you have to be so precise, and the thumbstick has to be in exactly the right direction. I was just die, and I was like, they've made it look like to appeal to children, but I can't imagine any children enjoying this for longer than 5 minutes because the physics as well. When you fire a web, the exact moment that you fire it determines how long the web is and how sort of violently you swing. And I often couldn't get the balance right. This is something that other games have perfected. I mean, there's games that have implemented systems like this very successfully, and this is so ridiculously difficult. I mean, the physics are a marvel, really, because they're kind of like how you'd imagine them if this was quote-unquote real life. But I just couldn't handle dying, and the game itself is sort of just muddled. There's blocks appear, and then you're like, am I supposed to use that? And you can. Some enemies can be crushed by a web, and then the same enemies can't be later on. It's just haphazard. I mean, when it allows you to move fast, like when you're and as hard as it is actually quite exciting when you're doing that. But that happens rarely. That happens like once or twice in the entirety of the game. There's also bits where you can, there's power-ups, so you can go really fast, but that only lasts for about 2 seconds. There's a super jump which lasts for about 2 seconds, and then you're back to moving. I mean, the best way I can summarise it is, at the beginning of the game, there's this sort of army of marching bugs, and you have to walk in between them. So you can't touch them because you'll get hit. But they're so far apart, there's no danger of that anyway. So you're walking, and I'm like, this is like I'm queuing. I'm queuing in a game. And that ends, and you're like, okay, that was a pretty dumbass idea. And then they do it again. And you think that this is not a system. You're basically asking me to walk in between these things, and then eventually the game continues, and then they do it again, and you're like, what? This doesn't. It's a harebrained project. I mean, you might be willing to tolerate it if it was on your phone, but it's on a console. I think it's 800 points. If it's 1200 points, then there's really a problem. I'm afraid I don't know for definite, but I'm pretty sure it's 800 points. Yeah, the presentation's terrible. It freezes. There's long loading times. I mean, it's just tripe. But it works. Someone who really loves hard games might think that there's something special about this. It looks like shit. I won't go on. I just have fucking hated it.